Did you pretend to be me? No.
People say blood is thicker than water. But sometimes the people closest to us can hurt us the most. This is the story of Chiamaka, a young woman whose own twin sister stole the life she had worked so hard to build, using the one thing they shared, her face. Chiamaka was 24 years old. She lived in Lagos. She worked as a bank officer at a busy bank on the mainland. She was kind, she worked hard, she always treated people with respect. Her customers liked her because she was patient and always ready to help. She believed that if you worked hard and treated people well, good things would come. Chiamaka had an identical twin sister named Chidinma. From the day they were born, almost nobody could tell them apart. They had the same face, the same smile, the same voice. Even close family members sometimes called one sister by the other's name. But even though they looked exactly alike, they were very different inside. Chiamaka was cheerful, she was generous, she was happy whenever other people succeeded. Chidinma was much quieter. She kept most of her feelings to herself. She smiled often, but she hid many things inside her heart. As they grew older, people praised Chiamaka again and again. Teachers remembered her first. Neighbors talked about her success. Family members always asked about her before asking about Chidinma. Even their parents sometimes compared them without meaning to. Every small comparison stayed in Chidinma's heart. She never complained. She simply smiled. But little by little, jealousy began to grow inside her. There is an old saying, a small seed of jealousy can grow into a very big tree if you keep feeding it. When the sisters became adults, they started living different lives. Chiamaka built a good career at the bank. Chidinma worked many different jobs, but nothing seemed to last. Every time she looked at her sister, she felt like life had chosen the wrong twin. She hated thinking that way, but she could not stop. Many nights she sat alone in her apartment and wondered, what if I had been the one everyone admired? What if I had been born first? Then something happened. Chiamaka met a young man named Kelechi. Kelechi was 27 years old. He worked as a software developer in Lagos. He was calm, kind, respectful. He listened more than he talked. People enjoyed being around him because he made everyone feel comfortable. The first time Chiamaka met him was at a friend's birthday party. They spent almost the whole evening talking. Before the party ended, they exchanged phone numbers. Soon they became friends. Then their friendship slowly turned into love. Over the next 2 years, they stayed by each other's side. When Chiamaka had difficult days at work, Kelechi encouraged her. When Kelechi faced challenges at work, Chiamaka supported him. They laughed together, prayed together, dreamed about the future together. Their love became stronger every day. One day, Kelechi introduced Chiamaka to his parents. His family welcomed her with open arms. Not long after that, Chiamaka introduced Kelechi to his own family. That was the first time he met Chidinma. She smiled politely. She greeted him kindly. She said all the right things. But while everyone else enjoyed the visit, Chidinma quietly watched him. She noticed how gently he spoke to her sister. She noticed the way he looked at Chiamaka. Deep inside, she wished someone would look at her the same way. There is another old saying, jealousy does not always shout. Sometimes it stays quiet and waits for the right time. As time went by, Chidinma saw Kelechi many more times. He came to family birthdays, holiday celebrations, Sunday dinners. Each time they met, she watched him closely. She saw how kind he was. She saw how much he respected Chiamaka. She saw the way he smiled whenever she looked at her sister. Little by little, something changed inside Chidinma. She no longer wished she had a life like Chiamaka's. She wanted Chiamaka's life. There is an old saying, when jealousy stays in the heart too long, it begins to change the way a person thinks. 2 happy years passed. Then one Saturday evening, Kelechi asked Chiamaka to meet him at the beach. The sun was setting over the ocean. The sky was painted with beautiful orange and pink colors. They walked together along the sand. Then Kelechi suddenly stopped. He reached into his pocket. He got down on one knee. His hand shook as he held out a small ring. He looked into Chiamaka's eyes. Then he smiled. Chiamaka, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes. She covered her mouth with both hands. Then she smiled. Yes, yes, I will. Kelechi gently placed the ring on her finger. People nearby began clapping. Some even cheered. It became one of the happiest days of their lives. When both families heard the news, everyone celebrated. The wedding planning started almost immediately. There were fabrics to choose, a wedding hall to book, food to order, invitations to print, music to arrange. There was so much to do. At the same time, Chiamaka still had to work full-time at the bank. Every day became busier than the last. One evening, after a long day at work, Chiamaka sat beside her sister. She smiled. Chidinma, she said softly, I really need your help. There are so many wedding things to do. Can you help me while I'm working? Chidinma smiled warmly. Of course, you don't even have to ask. Chiamaka hugged her tightly. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Those words stayed in Chidinma's mind. There is an old saying, the person you trust the most can also hurt you the most. From that day, Chidinma became part of almost every wedding plan. She collected fabric samples, she met with decorators, she confirmed appointments, she spoke with caterers, she even helped organize the guest list. Everyone praised her. What a wonderful sister. She's helping with everything. Chiamaka felt lucky. She believed she could trust her sister with anything. She had no idea she was slowly giving Chidinma the keys to her future. The more time Chidinma spent helping, the more she learned. She learned where everything would happen. She learned Kelechi's daily routine. She learned the little names Chiamaka and Kelechi called each other. She learned how Chiamaka laughed, how she smiled, how she talked, how she ended every phone call. Without realizing it, Chiamaka was teaching her sister how to become her. At first, she did not tell herself it was only curiosity. She wanted to understand why life seemed so easy for her sister. She wanted to know why everyone loved Chiamaka so much. But every day, that curiosity became something darker. She stood in front of her mirror. She practiced smiling like Chiamaka. She copied the way she spoke. She even copied the way she laughed. Slowly, she stopped practicing. She started becoming. There is an old saying, the more you pretend to be someone else, the easier it becomes to forget who you really are. One evening, while looking at herself in the mirror, Chidinma whispered something she had never said before. What if? What if I could have her life? The thought frightened her. She quickly shook her head. No, I would never do something like that. But the thought did not disappear. It came back the next day, then the day after that, again and again, until it slowly stopped feeling impossible. There is an old saying, every big betrayal begins with one small thought that is allowed to grow. About 2 months before the wedding, something unexpected happened. One afternoon, Chiamaka got a message from her manager. The bank had chosen her for an important training program in Abuja. The training would last 3 weeks. She had to go. She felt disappointed. The timing could not have been worse. There was still so much to do before the wedding. But she had no choice. She had to attend. That evening, she told Kelechi the news. I'll be back before the wedding, she said. We'll finish everything together. Kelechi smiled. Don't worry. We've planned this for a long time. 3 weeks won't change anything. Chiamaka smiled. I'll miss you. I'll miss you too, Kelechi replied. Before leaving for Abuja, Chiamaka turned to her sister. Chidinma, she said, can you please help with the wedding while I'm away? I trust you. Chidinma smiled. Of course, don't worry about anything. I'll take care of it. Chiamaka hugged her. She had no idea she was placing her future in the wrong hands. There is this old saying, trust is a beautiful gift, but in the wrong hands, it can become a dangerous weapon. A few days later, Chiamaka traveled to Abuja. She spent her days in training. She called Kelechi whenever she had free time. She also spoke with her sister to check on the wedding plans. Everything sounded normal. Everything seemed fine. But back in Lagos, something had already begun to change. Since Chiamaka was away, Chidinma started meeting Kelechi more often. She told him they needed to discuss wedding plans. Sometimes they met decorators together. Sometimes they visited the venue. Sometimes they talked about the guest list. To Kelechi, it all seemed normal. After all, she was only helping her sister. As the days passed, Chidinma paid closer attention to every little detail about Chiamaka. She copied the way her sister laughed. She copied the way she smiled. She remembered the words Chiamaka always used. She started wearing the same perfume.
She even styled her hair the same way. Every day she looked more like her sister, not just in appearance, but in behavior too. At first, she told herself it was only harmless fun. She only wanted to know what it felt like to be treated the way Chiamaka was treated. But slowly, pretending became easier, and stopping became harder. They say a person who keeps pretending may one day forget they are pretending. Kelechi noticed a few small changes. Sometimes Chiamaka sounded different on the phone. Sometimes her text messages felt unusual. One evening, he called to say goodnight. The phone rang. Then there was a long pause. Finally, someone answered. "Hello?" Kelechi frowned. "Is everything okay?" "Oh, yes," Chidinma replied quickly. "The network is just bad." She laughed. Then she quickly changed the subject. What color should the flowers be again? Kelechi forgot about the strange pause. Wedding planning had been stressful for both of them. He believed nothing was wrong.
If you are enjoying this story so far, take 1 second to leave a like. It really helps our channel grow. Let's see what happened next.
There is this saying, the easiest lie to believe is the one that sounds almost like the truth. 3 weeks later, Chiamaka returned to Lagos. She was tired from the training, but she was excited to continue planning her wedding. When she met Kelechi, he smiled. During their conversation, he mentioned things she could not remember. "You changed your mind about the flowers," he said. Chiamaka looked confused. "I never changed the flowers." Kelechi laughed. "I thought maybe you forgot." She laughed too. "I've been away for weeks. I'm probably just tired." Neither of them thought much about it. They blamed it on stress, but without knowing it, small cracks were beginning to appear. There is a saying, one small crack may not seem dangerous, but many small cracks can break even the strongest wall. As the wedding day came closer, Chidinma became even bolder. She answered calls from the wedding planner. She made small decisions for her sister. She changed the cake flavor. She changed some of the decorations. She even removed 2 of Chiamaka's closest friends from the guest list without telling her. Chiamaka was so busy with work and wedding plans that she never noticed. Little by little, her sister was taking control of her wedding. There is this saying, while one person is busy building, another person may be quietly pulling the foundation apart. Then, just 2 weeks before the wedding, everything changed. One rainy evening, Chiamaka was driving home from work. The roads were wet, traffic was heavy. Suddenly, another car lost control. It crashed into her car. Everything happened in just a few seconds. People rushed to help. An ambulance arrived. Chiamaka was taken to the hospital. She had a broken leg. She needed emergency surgery. For several days after the operation, she stayed under heavy medicine. She slept most of the time. She could not answer her phone. She had no idea what was happening outside the hospital. But someone else did. And for Chidinma, this was the chance she had been waiting for. There is an old saying, when the guard falls asleep, the thief moves the fastest.
When Chidinma heard about the accident, the idea came back. This time, she did not fight it. She decided to carry out her plan. She dressed like Chiamaka. She wore the same perfume. She fixed her hair the same way. She even copied the way Chiamaka smiled. Then she went to see Kelechi. He was happy to see who he believed was his fiancé. Chidinma told him, "The accident has made everything difficult. I don't want a big wedding anymore. I just want a small and quiet ceremony. I don't want any more stress." Kelechi felt sorry for her. He agreed. Still, something felt a little strange. Her voice sounded slightly different. She paused before answering some questions. Her smile felt different. But he told himself, she has been through a terrible accident. Maybe that's why she seems different. There is a saying, sometimes we ignore warning signs because the truth feels too hard to face. Kelechi also liked the idea of having a smaller wedding. There would be fewer guests, less stress, less money to spend. Without knowing it, he stopped asking questions. He wanted everything to be over peacefully. He never imagined he was standing beside the wrong woman. They say, a lie is easier to believe when it looks familiar. Chidinma secretly got copies of Chiamaka's identity papers. She lied and said they were needed for hospital work. Then she used those papers to pretend she was Chiamaka. A small wedding was held. Only a few people came. None of them knew the twins. Chidinma stood beside Kelechi. She wore a wedding ring. She used her sister's name. Kelechi believed he was marrying Chiamaka, but he was not. There is a saying, a lie may wear a wedding ring, but it can never bring true peace. 1 week later, an old family friend came to visit. She smiled at Chiamaka. Then she looked closely. She frowned. "You look a little different today," she said. "Did you cut your hair?" Chidinma felt scared, but she smiled. "The hospital cut it after my accident," she said. The woman nodded. She was not fully convinced, but she said nothing more. She left. The truth almost came out that day. There is an old saying. Sometimes the truth stands right in front of us, but we choose not to see it. A few days later, Kelechi's mother called. She started talking about a happy memory from the village. It was something only Chiamaka would remember. Chidinma did not know what she was talking about. She quickly said, "The accident made me forget a few things." Then she changed the subject. Kelechi's mother felt uneasy, but she kept quiet. There is an old saying, a small doubt grows bigger when nobody talks about it.
Around the same time, Chiamaka's best friend, Ngozi, wanted to visit her. She wanted to see how she was doing after the accident. She went to the house several times, but each time someone told her, "She is resting. She can't see anyone right now." Ngozi thought it was strange. Chiamaka had never turned her away before, not even when she was sick. Ngozi wanted to go inside anyway, but each time something came up. She never got the chance. Later, she would realize she had been very close to finding out the truth. There is an old saying, sometimes the truth is only one step away, but we never take that step. After the wedding, Chidinma told Kelechi they should keep their marriage private. She said she was still recovering from the accident. She did not want visitors, she did not want family gatherings, she wanted everything to stay quiet. Kelechi agreed. Every day, Chidinma became more careful. She copied the way Chiamaka talked. She copied the way she walked. She avoided bright lights because Chiamaka had a small scar near her left eyebrow. Chidinma did not have that scar. She was afraid someone would notice. Meanwhile, the real Chiamaka was still in the hospital. She had no idea that another woman was living her life. There is an old saying, the truth may hide for a while, but it never stays hidden forever. 3 weeks later, the doctors finally sent Chiamaka home. She was happy. She thought she would finish planning her wedding. She smiled as she went to see Kelechi, but the moment he saw her, he looked confused. He asked, "Why are you acting like we haven't already gotten married?" Chiamaka stopped walking. "What do you mean?" she asked. Kelechi looked surprised. "You don't remember our wedding?" Chiamaka stared at him. "My wedding?" She could not understand what he was talking about. They say, when two people remember different truths, someone is hiding a lie. Kelechi became worried. He thought maybe the accident had made Chiamaka lose her memory. He quickly took her to see a doctor. The doctor checked her carefully. After many tests, the doctor said, "Her memory is fine. The accident did not affect her mind." Both of them became frightened. If Chiamaka had not forgotten, then who had Kelechi married? There is a saying that when every answer is wrong, it is time to ask a different question. That evening, Chiamaka called Chidinma. She asked, "Did anything strange happen while I was in the hospital?" Chidinma answered calmly, "No, I was busy with work. I didn't visit the hospital very often." Something about her answer did not feel right. Then Chiamaka remembered something. One of the nurses had told her, "Your sister came to see you almost every day." Why was Chidinma saying she hardly visited? The two stories did not match. For the first time, Chiamaka felt afraid. They say, when two stories do not match, one of them is hiding the truth.
Be honest. If you were Kelechi, would you have realized the woman beside you wasn't really Chiamaka? Or would you have been fooled too? Tell me what you think in the comments.
Chiamaka asked Kelechi to tell her everything. He told her about the small wedding. He told her how she asked for a private ceremony. He told her about the wedding dress. He told her about the few guests who came. As Chiamaka listened, her heart beat faster. She had never been there. She had never said those things. She had never worn that dress. Then she remembered the old family friend who said she looked different. She remembered the strange things Kelechi had been saying. Slowly, a terrible thought came into her mind. Could her own sister have taken her place? They say, sometimes the hardest truth is the one we never thought was possible. Chiamaka went to see Chidinma right away. She looked her sister in the eyes. "Tell me the truth," she said. "Did you pretend to be me?" Chidinma shook her head. "No, I only helped with the wedding. I did nothing wrong." She kept denying everything, but Chiamaka had proof. She showed the hospital records. They proved she had been in the hospital during the wedding.
She had been asleep because of strong medicine. She could not have left the hospital. She could not have gotten married. Chidinma looked at the papers. Her face changed. She knew she could not hide the truth anymore. There is an old saying, no lie can hide forever when the truth has proof. Chidinma started crying. She broke down. I did it, she whispered. I was jealous. I was tired of living in your shadow. I wanted to know what it felt like to be loved first. I thought if I became you, I could finally have your life. The room became silent. No one spoke. Kelechi stood there in shock. He could hardly believe what he had just heard. The woman he married was not Chiamaka. It had been Chidinma all along. There is a saying, jealousy can make good people do terrible things. Kelechi felt completely broken. He remembered the strange phone calls. He remembered the long pauses. He remembered the different way she smiled. He remembered the uneasy feeling on the wedding day. He had noticed the signs, but he chose to ignore them. He told himself it was only because of the accident. Now he wished he had trusted his heart. He looked at Chiamaka. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I should have asked more questions. I should have listened to that small voice inside me. They say, ignoring a warning does not make the danger disappear. The marriage was quickly cancelled through the courts. The truth was proven with hospital records, documents, and witnesses. Kelechi felt hurt. He felt ashamed. He could not believe he had been tricked so easily. Chiamaka felt heartbroken. Her own sister had stolen her wedding. She had stolen her name. She had stolen months of her life. Their whole family was shocked. No one knew what to say. There is a saying, the deepest pain often comes from the people we trust the most.
In the months that followed, Chidinma had to face the results of what she had done. She got into serious legal trouble for using someone else's identity and fake documents. Her family no longer trusted her. The people who once loved both sisters now looked at her with sadness and disappointment. She had lost the trust of the people who mattered most. They say, if you steal another person's life, you may lose your own. For Chiamaka and Kelechi, life was not easy. They still loved each other, but the pain did not disappear overnight. Sometimes Kelechi looked at Chiamaka for a long time. He knew she was the real woman he loved, but his heart was still trying to heal from the terrible lie. Chiamaka noticed the look in his eyes. It hurt her, but she understood. She knew healing takes time. There is a saying, a broken heart does not heal in one day. Slowly, they started rebuilding their relationship. They went for counseling together. They talked honestly about everything that had happened. They prayed together. They learned to trust each other again. Sometimes Kelechi would ask Chiamaka little questions that only she could answer. He was not trying to test her. He was helping his heart feel safe again. Day by day, things became better. They say trust grows one small step at a time. When Ngozi learned the whole truth, she felt guilty. I knew something wasn't right, she said. I should have tried harder to see you. Chiamaka smiled gently. She held her friend's hand. She said, this was not your fault, she said. You didn't know. Still, both of them learned an important lesson. Sometimes, a small feeling that something is wrong should not be ignored. One evening, Kelechi sat down with Chiamaka. I need to tell you something, he said. I felt something was wrong before the wedding, but I stayed quiet. I chose the easy path instead of asking questions. I'm sorry. Chiamaka listened carefully. Then she said, you did not cause what happened, but your silence made it easier for the lie to continue. Kelechi nodded. He knew she was right. There is an old saying, silence can sometimes help a lie grow. They made a promise to each other. From that day on, they would always tell each other the truth, even if the truth was difficult, even if it was uncomfortable. They would never let fear or silence come between them again. The elders say, strong marriages are built with truth, not secrets.
1 year after the truth came out, Chiamaka and Kelechi got married again. This time, everyone was invited. Their family and friends came to celebrate with them. There were no lies, there were no secrets. Everything was open and honest. This time, Chiamaka wore her own wedding dress. She said her own vows. She stood beside the man she truly loved. Everyone smiled as they watched them begin again. During the wedding, Kelechi stood up to speak. He looked at Chiamaka with a smile. Then he turned to the guests. He said, "Love without truth is only a beautiful act. I'm thankful that today I am marrying the real woman I fell in love with." The whole room became quiet. Many people had tears in their eyes. They knew how much the couple had been through. There is an old saying, true love grows stronger when it survives hard times. As for Chidinma, she moved to another city to begin a new life. She carried the pain of the choices she had made. She had lost her sister's trust. She had lost her family's respect. She had lost the man she tried to steal. She thought about those weeks when she pretended to be Chiamaka. She finally understood something. She had never really been happy. She was only pretending to live someone else's life. And no one can find peace by living a lie. There is an old saying, what you take through lies will never truly belong to you. Chiamaka's story teaches us an important lesson. Jealousy can grow if we do not stop it. It can make people hurt the ones they love the most. But the story also teaches us something else. The truth may stay hidden for a while, but one day it will always come out. And when people choose honesty, healing can begin. Remember this. Never be jealous of another person's life. God has a different purpose for everyone. Be thankful for what you have. Be honest with the people you love. And never build your happiness on someone else's pain. The end. Thank you so much for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves meaningful stories with life lessons. See you in the next story.